clearly a well-pitched game. We talk a lot about wanting to be difficult to score on, and when you have that kind of pitching performance from two drastically different arms, that takes you a long way. I thought the defense overall was very sound. The play, left field dive, center fielder's over there, picks it up, throws it out. Like the way Lodis came and got some of those ground balls. Miles coming off the bag to tag. He's still learning how to play first base at this level. And Farrow, a couple good plays. But Jamie, so in control of what he's doing, and you can just see the growth. We sit in here and talk about some of the things when he was a freshman, and you look at the command and control of self and game today and adding another pitch that's in play. He's not just adding a pitch to have it. It's a useful, good pitch. And I thought he was in great control of things. Micah did a nice job of feeling the game out. You can tell when he senses that they're on to something, he can switch it. Did a great job. And Johnny came in, Abraham. You could just feel that adrenaline. He's throwing 94, 95 miles an hour. There's probably even more in the tank. You're talking about a good cutter, curveball, changeup. Again, in control of what he was doing. At the plate, Farrow, good at bats. And it's funny, we have so many left-handed arms. He doesn't get a lot of left-handed at bats in the scrimmages. He just doesn't. As a switch hitter, he batted right-handed so much more. So I think there was a comfort factor to be on that side, and he drilled that ball to left and then hammered the ball to right field, and that was the difference in the thing for us was that home run. I thought we threatened in essentially every inning. We just did not show enough of an approach, pitch selection. Very capable, talented team that's been all over the country playing in recent years and are in a regional final, so they know what the heck they're doing. And they pitch us tough. I would hope that as we settle, we're not trying to overdo it. I thought there were guys trying to do a little too much and maybe swinging at pitches that they don't normally seem to offer at or chase at, but that's part of game one. I thought Nate did a very nice job catching. Jax is a little banged up, and even though we haven't played, we've been scrimmaging hard for 4 weeks, and guys get beat up even in that. So you see what that addition has done, and his ability to catch, block, throw. Did a good job running the bases. I thought he played a really nice game. So all in all, to be tough to score on is a step in the right direction for having a good team.
A lot of times guys have stuff like Jamie has. Pitch count gets a little up. They nibble a little more. But I looked up his fourth inning. He's like 32, 33 pitches.
Well, he had a lot of ground balls early in the count, and you don't always see that, but you saw it tonight. Like he induced some choppers and little slow rollers, and I thought our guys did a nice job of handling those. But that keeps the pitch count down. If they're deep counts and you may rack up strikeouts, but it's a different feel when you're deeper in counts. Essentially, you could get some punch outs, but that's better. That's more efficient. It gets you deeper. He had a 5-inning stint in the scrimmage, but we were having to conserve a little bit because our hitters did a nice job. He got the early contact, and that changes the pitch count and how deep somebody can go into the game. And he still clearly had some strikeouts, but it was nice to see early contact, not hard contact, just good, solid, little ground balls. And Lodi stood out to me and how he attacked some of those things.
Coach JMU had 5 errors tonight, and you guys had 5 unearned runs. How impressed were you that you were able to capitalize on those errors?
Well, I'm glad we did. I mean, that was really the way that we were able to manufacture. And I don't have an answer for the at-bats that I saw tonight. Those are hitters that are more capable of delivering. We grade contact 1, 2, 3, 3 being a really well-struck ball, and there were probably 4 or 5 of those tonight, which is unusual. And again, they did a good job of pitching. They moved the ball to both sides of the plate. Their secondary pitches, they did a nice job with it. So, but sometimes you create things and there is pressure because you have guys that can run a little bit, and it adds a dimension to how people play defense, and maybe that factored in. But again, it's something that we're going to have to tighten our approach, because when you're in those situations, essentially every inning, you're not going to lean on, that's not going to happen again. Like you have to deliver some of these things on your own, and hopefully we get to that.
Do you foresee, I don't know if tinkering is the right word, but looking at different lineup, depending on the matchup of the pitcher, or getting other guys at bats? And
Yes,
you know,
I do, absolutely. Now, right now, to tell you going in tomorrow with the big lefty they have going, I don't know the answer to what I would want to do tomorrow, and that's about as far as I will look. But yes, I need to do that. I want to do that. We do have some guys banged up, so we're not full strength. There were moments tonight when you would like to maybe get some guys in the game and get at bats, but it didn't feel like we had control of that game until very, very late. And at that point, it's a little awkward sometimes to bring people into a game, in fairness to them, having sat over there for 3 hours. So it's coming. And I will tell you, we do have some athleticism and depth from the position player side. And I will figure out the right mix. I do think some guys that may not have had good nights at the plate tonight will be guys that you will see with productive offensive seasons for us.
Coach, what did you see from John tonight? He was in 3 innings away, 8 strikeouts.
I saw power fastball. Okay, we're in the weight room, and I marvel at what these pitchers especially do before they ever go out and touch a baseball. There's only so much they can throw. So Jamie Burleson and Phil Montano, our strength and conditioning coach and trainer, they design things to help improve the physicality of the pitchers. So you saw a more capable physical individual on the mound today. We saw him start the last game we played in Omaha. It wasn't quite that type of stuff. That's where all of this work and the effort by the whole staff, like coaching staff, training staff, it shows. And that was really electric stuff. 4 above average pitches, I thought. The fastball when he came in the game, above average. Cutter, curveball, changeup, all of it was really good. And it's fun. The dudes work hard, man. It's fun to see them go out there and actually display that.
You saw the strikeouts last year with John, but also the walks with it. I know you don't want to overreact too much to one outing, but how have you seen him this offseason? It feels like that freshman and sophomore year can be the time where you see guys jump up over the course of an offseason.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know going into last season when we started the impact that he was going to have. You have to feel it in these situations. We would like to think we know, but sometimes guys get in the actual games and you learn about them more than you can in your practices. And I think his progression is right on schedule. And that was probably a tick above on schedule, if that's a term in the sport of baseball. I do like to see expectations of progression. You do expect it. That was noticeable, and I thought it was appropriate and reflective of the work he's done in here.
Coach, you wouldn't expect a hitter of Furrow's caliber to be hitting in the 7-hole. What does it say about the depth of your lineup, but also him to be willing to hit down in the lineup, and obviously he delivered tonight?
Well, I like to mix right-left a little bit. I think it's tougher to pitch to. I think sometimes command can suffer when you have to go left, right, left, right, left, right. So I do like that, and that was the most difficult spot in the lineup for me when I wrote it out today. There are places he could go in the lineup other than there. There are other guys that are in that lineup that, quite frankly, were ahead of him tonight that had maybe more consistent preseasons. And it still gave us a complete look, because at the end of the day, you don't care where the production comes from. That's a physical, competitive group that we ran out there today, lineup top to bottom, and that's where he landed. But I think it does give a good look. I think DeLamelure was 6, and then him, and then Nate was 8, and Miles. So we really had the left, right all the way through it, and sometimes that makes it tougher to pitch too. So maybe some of the walk to hit by pitch stuff that churns up can be a result of that a little bit. But he could hit anywhere in the lineup. There's no doubt. I just think he stood out, and being in the 7-hole and standing out is not me thinking he's incapable of batting anywhere else. He had a really good day, and then he could hit 3rd, 5th, 6th, 8th. It's a good group. That's just where we landed today.
How cool is it to see the grandstands filled like that?
It was phenomenal. Like it was phenomenal. I talked to Lulu when I did my end game with him. I think the refreshing of the stadium, and we've tried to do better with the concession offerings and things and how we serve it and where we serve it and how quickly. I want this to be a great experience. We have the best fans in the country. I want them to be able to come into a place that's clean, on point, the music's going, the scoreboard's right, all of the things that go into a game of this magnitude should happen, and it should reward them. And it was neat to see it packed, and it impacts the game. It impacted this game. That team had been to other places around the country, but it still doesn't mean that it's easy to roll in here when every seat is full and the fans are into it and the animals are doing their thing. It's fun. It adds a dimension to the game. Like, it makes college baseball better and fun. And I'm pleased that when I walked in here today, I felt like the stadium was in better condition, looked better, new things, the big jumbo TV in the Haggard Plaza. Those are neat touches for the best fans in the country.
Coach Jarrett, what did you see out of Texas Tech transfer Gage Harrelson today?
I saw him settle into doing the things that we've been trying to get him to settle into doing. He's got a nice skill set, and I like players that have that capability to bunt, to run, to play defense, to steal bases. He can do all of that. And I love the way he stayed on the ball and shot that ball into left field. The stolen base. He's a really rangy, good outfielder. It's just a playbook that's open for me when he's at the plate and on the bases. And then, again, you have 3-4 guys that could go play center field, him being one. So it just strengthens the whole overall defense with a guy like that.
Speaking of defense, how great was it seeing the duo Faro and Lodi being so reliable?
I loved it. I expected it. We need it. And they did answer and deliver.
Alex's game clock specifically, just how impressive is that, and how big of strides has he made since he's been here with that? He's
got a knack for it, like the aggressiveness of coming to get the ball. He knows when to use the arm. Like, he makes a very difficult position look relatively easy at times. He goes to his right. I watch an infield outfield. I mean, the ball I know it's infield outfield, but you don't see guys going to shallow left field and jump and throw a strike. He's got such good athleticism and strength, and the clock, just through the reps of practice and all the work we do on the stopwatch of keeping things under 4-0, he has a sense of what he's doing out there. And it's fun. It's fun to watch a guy go from a freshman that you play against to a sophomore that's learning to a guy that played as good a shortstop tonight as anybody in the country could possibly ever think of playing.
Following up on that, Coach, but he also struggled at the plate. What does it just say about his character to not let a bad day at the dish affect his play in the field?
Yeah, you feel for the guys a little bit because the expectations and some of its individual expectations, team, it's a lot. It was voted a captain. I think sometimes they just go up and they're trying to maybe do a little bit too much. And maybe they're seeing the ball well, and when you are seeing it well, like he has been the whole preseason, you start to swing at things that you normally wouldn't. So, but the character to leave the offensive stuff in the dugout, and he was very upset, and I get it, because that's not how you want to start. He went through something like this last year a little bit. But to go out there and stick your nose in the defense and not miss a beat, impressive. Mature, high character kid.
Coach, was Jamie on a pitch count tonight?
Yes. We were not going to get past 80, and had it been laboring, then we would have kept it way under that. But he threw 75 in the last scrimmage, and we talked about right there, and he wasn't laboring tonight. And I think we got to, did we get to 76?
Yeah.
So
Mid-
that was right where it needed to be, and it probably was one inning more because of the ground balls that he got early in some of the counts that let him go back out there for the extra inning.
What did you see between him and Nate tonight, that connection?
Well, Jamie's on it, and he was commanding things. Now, when he's not commanding it like that, it's very difficult to catch. Jamie doesn't bury a ton of pitches. Like Abraham buries the breaking ball. Jamie doesn't necessarily throw as many balls maybe down. So they were in good sync, and I thought Nate just looked very comfortable. And then when you saw Johnny come in, and now we're trying to block some of those deep, tight breaking balls, I thought he did a good job with both guys. But we make sure that all of the catchers, Brad does a fantastic job of making sure that all of the guys catch all of the pitchers. So if you get in a situation where something may not have gone right out of the gate as you thought with who might be catching Jamie tonight, it doesn't throw anyone off rhythm.
Coach, how good was it seeing Brody go on the lower left field today?
It was good. I felt like he was a little unsettled at the plate. He works very hard. He's a capable player. There was some things at the plate. I think, again, there was probably a group of guys that may have been trying to do a little bit too much. He's a good player. And, coming to get the ball, he tried to dive and catch that one. He's out there because we trusted him and thought that was the right thing. And there's other capable players. But if you watch the preseason and we had 550 plate appearances in the preseason as a group. That's a lot. And the consistency of his at-bats were as good as anybody would have. So he earned the right to be out there.
Coach, being a team between you at 5 and Mr. Cooper, saw a lot of energy in the dugout, a lot of energy kind of on the field and things like that, guys hyping each other up, giving high fives and all that type of stuff. How is it as a coach seeing that first game of the season?
That's funny because I don't think I'm a coach that in any way promotes that. We're tough on it, and then I think when they get out here, it's almost like it's PE a little bit. And you guys at practice that follow us, like there's a lot. The gas pedal's down on those guys. And then game day, I'm thinking about different things than I am at practice. And they seem to have a heck of a lot of fun actually being around each other and playing and competing and pulling and chirping and running around. So good for them. If it's like PE for fifth graders out there on the basketball court or the kickball court, good, because it keeps everybody kind of upbeat and going. And it's not always, tonight was fun, and it's not always that way, but I think that's a characteristic I've seen out of some of my teams that I probably didn't know I was drawing up for whatever reason. But no, it was great, and I think the fans like it. I think it makes it fun to watch the guys, and they play hard, and they're energetic, and more power to them.
Coach, who would you say the players have shown the biggest development from the exhibition game in Alabama to now?
Well, I think John Abraham, that's all of it was better. I think Jamie, like we would expect, and we knew the changeup was coming. That's a tricky one. I think Gage was going through a lot coming from a program where they might have been trying to do A, B, and C, and I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z. So I think there's been some improvement with him and just settling down mechanically, and then maybe taking some of the playbook stuff that we do and using it. So to me, those two probably have been fun to watch. But I feel that there has been a lot of improvement across the board because the players work very hard. So I'm grasping a little bit, and maybe I'm just going on what happened tonight, and I might have two more for you, but those guys have done a really, really nice job, and I think you're going to be surprised at some of the other pitchers that we're going to use that have made strides that just weren't out there tonight.